hindsight's 2020. So if you're looking at it strictly from what you saw from Lamar Jackson in 2 of the last 3 drives, I get where you're coming from. But when we asked that question and when they asked Harbaugh that question, obviously you weren't making that consideration when he threw 1 touchdown after another, 2 touchdown passes to bring him back from 23-3 to, for the 2 touchdowns in 23-17. We're talking about what happened prior to that. Max, with all due respect, I say this affectionately, my brother, you're insane if you think that Joe Flacco should not have been strongly considered to enter this game. Lamar Jackson wasn't just a deer in headlights, as Molly pointed out. Lamar Jackson didn't even have 40 yards passing until the 4th quarter. You got to be kidding me. I mean, it was that awful. And not only that, he had already fumbled twice. So you weren't holding on to the ball, you weren't protecting the ball, and at the same time, you were underthrowing, you were overthrowing, you couldn't do anything right. When you're talking about, listen, I like Lamar Jackson, and I think the upside is tremendous, and it's no big deal. Like Damien just said, you got to be able to handle that. If you're playing that bad, okay, we got to make a sub for this game. We'll try you next week if we're lucky enough to survive. This is the playoffs. It's not the regular season. But when you talk about how bad he was, when you talk about the consideration of Joe Flacco, literally, we saw, I couldn't tell whether Lamar Jackson was playing football or bowling sometimes, for crying out loud, with the underthrows that
I felt like he wanted to be taken out. It was that bad.
It was that bad. I'm talking about not even 40 yards passing. Yeah. That was bad.
So let me ask you a question. Because you said, considering, would you have put Joe Flacco in the game?
I would have at that time. Like I might, based on what we saw from Lamar Jackson, I may have ended up regretting it. But remember, he didn't run with the football. He was throwing those passes to Crabtree and others. So what I'm saying to you is that in light of what transpired, obviously we can't say it was the wrong decision. I'm just in that moment. Right. It's the 4th quarter. I'm down, and they're looking that bad.
I'm going to assume they didn't prepare for Flacco either. I'm going to assume that they prepared just for Jackson. So from that alone, I'd want to put in Flacco. And Flacco, as much as we're downing him, he does have an arm.
Well, what is that? Strong arm.
Well, what is that? Well, what is there to prepare for Flacco? That's what it really comes to. Listen, here's what I'm going to say. Is Flacco at this point a better passer than Lamar Jackson? Absolutely. Nobody can dispute that. But here's what I'm going to say. First of all, I think they made the right decision not pulling Lamar Jackson for a couple reasons. One, when they made a change to Lamar Jackson, think of all the things that you had to change from a schematic and just offensively that you had to do to cater to Lamar Jackson. Now, this whole notion that you put Joe Flacco in, think about all the things that you have to change with Joe Flacco in at the quarterback position. There's a lot that has to be adjusted from an offensive standpoint, going from a Lamar Jackson to a Joe Flacco standpoint. Number 2, with Joe Flacco in there, I'm telling you right now, those boys, Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa, they probably would have had a field day.
That's the point.
They would have had a field day against Joe Flacco, because here's why. And I can understand probably where John Harbaugh was coming from. Lamar Jackson is a more explosive talent. Yes, he's lacking in the passing game, but his escapability and being able to improvise in certain situations, they probably feel like gave them a better chance to make a comeback with Joe Flacco.
With how long he holds on to the ball, getting sacked 7 times?
He's a 21-year-old quarterback that's starting in the postseason. That's a tall task for veteran quarterbacks out here who has a wealth of experience. But I'm going to say with Joe Flacco, I'm telling you right now, these rushers, they would have loved to have Joe Flacco out there standing like a statue in the pocket, because you don't even have to worry. You don't even have to worry about a guy like Lamar Jackson being able to improvise back there.
That's the point. But also, there was a generally too conservative point of view from Harbaugh in the first half. When that relaxed, Lamar Jackson led a comeback. And let me show you some evidence. Down 20-3, 4th down, you go for it. Harbaugh doesn't. Decisions like that are just bad coaching decisions.
Guys, listen.
Overly conservative.
Work with me here. The fact of the matter is, and again, we're not comparing Joe Flacco to any of these guys. Tom Brady can't move. Drew Brees doesn't move. There are manners in which you can be effective as a stationary quarterback if you can throw the football. That's point number 1. Point number 2. Lamar Jackson was sacked 7 times yesterday.
I understand.
7 times. And what I'm saying to you is, look, y'all act like I'm just saying, oh, that I would have just made that move. No, I'm going to repeat this. It's the 4th quarter. They're down 23-3. He's already been sacked at least 6 times, and he doesn't even have 40 yards passing. 40.
So let me ask you a question. So let me ask you a question.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I get that.
Right.
I understand that. But have you forgotten the reason why Joe Flacco was benched anyway?
I get that.
I mean, let's not make Joe Flacco like he's a savior or something like that.
No.
This dude was not good as a quarterback.
Hold it. That's not my point. My point is not that Joe Flacco is some savior. My point is that Lamar Jackson was that bad. I ask you a simple question. Tell me, because Mr. Historian, you, Mr. Football Historian, I ask y'all a simple question. Tell me a quarterback that you can think of that passed for less than 40 yards into the 4th quarter. Take your time. I'll wait. I'm waiting.
I don't know.
Where is he? It doesn't exist.
Tim Tebow.
I can't find it. I can't even
He'll
say
join
him.
us later in the show.
I can't even say him. No.
But the point is,
40,
wait a minute.
40 yards.
But the point is,
in the 4th quarter.
The point is, Tim Tebow had something about him that made you believe he could come back. And the bottom line about Lamar Jackson is, was it the right or wrong decision?
No.
He
We got
scored 2
to agree to
touchdowns in the quarter.
disagree. You guys are just you disagree.
And you
on
know
the
what?
bottom line. I'm with Stephen A. on this one. I think.
But you know what?
I think they should have put Joe Flacco in.
But you know what? Here's my one last point. One last point. By sticking with Lamar Jackson just tells me like John Harbaugh is going to be there for the long term.
He deserves to be.
He's going to be there for the long term.
One of the best coaches in the league. He should be.
You know what? We've turned the page from Joe Flacco.
He is.
I'm just saying in
He's
the moment,
one of the
Molly.
best coaches in the league, Harbaugh.